welcome to this video on the new Fender Studio Pro, which was newly released just last week. And today I am looking at the two plugins that were included from Fender. One of them is Mustang Native and the other is Rumble Native, and they are for guitar and bass respectively. So without further ado, let's take a look at the presets I used to create this track. So on my bass track, I have the Rumble Native plugin here, and if I click on the amp, I have it on this basic patch here. If I go to list view, you can see some of the presets here, and the basic Bassman Clean, I've just renamed it with my name after it because I modified it slightly from the original one. So we can just click on the name to go back to it, or click here to do that. So if I click on the amp here, you can see the settings for the amp, the gain, volume, treble, low, high, mid, high, and low, and the bass, and power here, which just makes it disappear. It doesn't actually switch it off. And you can bypass it right here. And if you go into amp settings, we have some more settings that you can adjust here. This is how much of the gain channel is mixed in with the clean signal. We can turn on punch, scoop. The compressor has a whole bunch of settings on it. I have it on low 3 right now. The noise gate we can set to different levels. It's on medium, and the gate position you can have it pre or post. So that is the amp side. In this patch there is a chorus, this sine chorus. You can see where the settings are on that. And if you right click on something, you can edit the automation for any of the parameters, including the on and off here, which is useful. And on the tail end we have a small room reverb. It's set at a very minimal level. You'll hardly notice it. There's also a bypass button here to bypass it. So that is the settings for the bass, and it sounds like this. I'll just solo it. As you can see, I have a couple of other things in the chain here, and I'll talk about those in a second. So you can hear there's a little bit of gain coming through. If I go to amp settings and turn up the blend, you can hear that kicking in there a bit more. So aside from the Rumble Native amp here, I have this Pro EQ, which is the built-in effect from Fender, carried over from PreSonus, and I just have a little bit of EQ set here just to modify the bass slightly to my taste. And then I have this UAD 1176. It's just set to a ratio of 4:1, and the release is here. The attack is in the middle at 12 o'clock, and the input is at 36. The output is at 15. So that is the bass chain, and I'll just solo it again and play it. I'll switch off the UAD here in the Pro EQ. And if we take a look at the amp again here, you can see the blend has been automated here between the two parts of the song. So that's the bass channel. Next up we have this left and right panned guitar, which is our clean guitar, and I have this these two grouped here. So just have a listen to that. So I'll just open both of these. So you can see on this patch we're using the twin reverb clean. I've called it Clean Sparkle Dave, and it is based on the Clean Sparkle preset with some of my own modifications. The amp is set like so, and the amp settings, I have this on, noise gate is off, and these I've just left at the default settings. I have added a vibratone to this patch. It originally just came with the chorus and the reverb, and I'm switching between the two. So in the quieter guitar parts, before I do the lead, I have the vibratone on when it's just the guitar on its own with the bass. And then during the lead parts, I switch over to the triangle chorus. If I get back to the beginning of the track, you'll see the vibratone is on, and I'll play it and you'll watch it switch over to the triangle chorus. Have the chorus is kicked in now, and that's the point where the lead guitar starts. So that is the clean guitar. So you can see the automation for the two clean guitar tracks. I have some volume automation here. Then this is the on-off automation for the chorus and the vibratone, and the same on the other channel here. We have volume automation and then the effects automation here. So that is those tracks. Next up, we have the heavier distorted guitar tracks, these two here, and they appear here and here in the track. I'll just play a little bit here. And as you can likely hear, the right channel has some flanger on it. I'll just open the effects here and we can take a look at them. So this patch was derived from the British Color Dirt, and I've modified it with my name. And then this one over here was originally the Barracuda patch, and the British Color amp is set like this. Amp settings, I didn't do anything with those settings. And we have a small hall reverb on here, and also a sine chorus on this channel. So that's our left hand side. And then on the right hand side we have the 70s British amp, and the settings in here, the bright blend is at 50, noise gate is low, gate position is pre, and these are just on their defaults. Also with this patch we have a large room reverb, and then we have the flanger on the end, and it's set fairly high level. So I don't have any automation on this track, and that sounds like this. So that is our heavy rhythm guitar. So next up we have our lead guitars. The first lead guitar comes in over the clean guitar here, and it is this track right here, and I just have some volume automation on it. If I open the automation lane here, so I have volume automation, and then I have mix and feedback, which are two parameters on the patch here, and I'll show you those in a second here. Okay, so if I turn the automation off here, the display, and you can see the waveforms for that guitar here, and it sounds like this. So I'm using this Roy Blues delay patch here, and this is the settings for the amp right here. And then in amp settings, the noise gate is off, gate position is pre, and sag and tube bias are at their defaults. So within this patch, we have this green box set up as so. And then we have this large hall reverb, and then I have this memory delay. And on the memory delay, some effects have a second stage of adjustments, and you can adjust those in here by clicking on this button here. And if you notice there's a little dot on these, that means I have automation enabled on the mix and the feedback knobs here. So if I go to the track, you can see the mix is here and feedback is here. And basically I'm just automating the delay at the end of the track. You can hear it swelling and then fading out towards the end. So in the context of the mix, so that is that guitar. Next up, we have this lead in the heavier section, and that sounds like this. So that began with this supersonic burn patch, which I've modified. And this is the settings for the amp here. This amp has another stage with a master on it. And then in the amp settings, the noise gate is on medium, it's pre, and these two are defaults. In this amp setup, we have an overdrive set up as so. We have a phaser pretty much cranked all the way. And then I have this mono echo filter, which is set up like this. And then I have this small hall reverb. So in the context of the mix, that sounds like this. And during this last part of the heavier guitars, we have another solo here. That's this one here. Let's just have a listen to that. So that began as this NM octave screamer, which I modified a little bit. These are the settings on the amp, and the master is all the way up here. Amp settings, noise gate is on medium, it's post, sag is on less, and true bias is minus 16.3. And in the effects lineup, we have this chromatic pitch shifter, which is making most of the noise here, and it's set up as so. Then we have the metal gate right after that, the black box distortion, which is pretty much zero distortion, lots of level. Then this compressor. Then I have an EQ7, which I think I had added to this chain here, just to pull out some of the low end and modify the high end a little bit as well. I was trying not to EQ these guitars within the software here and just doing it within the amp. So most of the amps I've pulled out a lot of the low end and some of the fizzy high end instead of using an EQ after the guitar plugins. And last in line here we have this stereo echo filter, and that is set up as so. And that is that. So in context, so that is the track. Those are the effects I used. The Mustang Native and the Rumble Native from Fender, and they sound really nice straight out of the box without any adjustments. But like I said, I did take off low and high end, so I didn't have to add EQ on them, just so you can hear what the plugin sounds like without anything else in the chain. The only one I did was a little bit on the bass. If you notice here, I'm using Easy Drummer 3 for my drums here. You can see over here. And I have standard clip on it just to get a little more gain out of that. I'm using Harrison drum flow and Harrison bass flow just to boost the drums and bass a little bit. I have nothing on the guitar bus. And then on the main bus I have the FG-X2 from Slate Digital, just to get myself up into a higher loudness level here. So I hope you enjoyed the video and stay tuned for the next one.